It's time. Gojo Satoru is free. And he is pissed. After years of wait and anticipation, Gojo has finally been released from the prison realm, and Jujutsu Kaisen has been catapulted right into its endgame. And actually, screw scripting this video, I just want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, because we have been waiting years for Gojo to come back. Everybody wanted Gojo to come back, even people who don't currently read Jujutsu Kaisen wanted Gojo to come back and are making videos about this. This is a fucking internet event, as it should be, because now we are in the thick of it. Things are only going to get spicier from here, but on the bright side, Gojo and Yuji are finally going to have their reunion, because Yuji has been missing his sensei for like 2 weeks, but this is 2 weeks of anime time. As you can see here, Yuji had cashed the 401k and he was ready to retire. And by retire, I mean die. But Megumi's gone and Gojo is back. And Yuji is just ready to eat any and all cursed objects. And conveniently for him, the guy who can float, teleport through solid walls, and can see cursed objects just arrived. So Gojo is the #1 most qualified man to go find Yuji those yummy cursed objects to eat. So Gojo, from now on, no more pastries in Tokyo. Just grab cursed objects along your way, bring those home for dinner. We all know that Sukuna is going to be getting on that fish at some point here and collecting his last 5 fingers. So the first half of the last arc is really shaping up to just be a scavenger hunt. It really goes to show how intense the presence of Sukuna and Gojo in the world really is. So far, they are the only two to ever rival each other. Neither one of these guys has ever known an equal in their lifetime. And pretty much up until today, they were separated by 1,000 years. And I'll be honest, that is just cool. This is what the Spike TV show Deadliest Warrior was built on. I don't really care who wins as long as the actual fight is satisfying. I want to see these guys get pushed. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think anybody wants to stomp here. That'd be pretty boring. By the time these guys actually fight, they're probably going to be pretty relative to each other. I just don't see Yorzu having a longer fight with Sukuna than Gojo Satoru. You pretty much have 2 nukes just walking around Japan hanging out. And one of them is on a fish, and he is just permeating evil one spot to the next. And while Sukuna may have the best personal transportation device, Gojo broke his own record for the fastest travel feat in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo teleported straight from the Japan Trench to mainland Japan after busting through all of Kenjaku's barriers and causing an earthquake. And not only did he teleport, he teleported right in front of Kenjaku. Underground in presumably Tokyo. I'm just gonna say it, Hollow Purple, pretty strong, but teleportation's better. Teleportation's the best. Spatial manipulation, OP. Blue, busted. Oh what, you're making the hand sign for your domain? I'm gonna make the hand sign for my teleport. You should really never be able to trap this guy inside a domain. Teleportation absolutely clutched him out of the pits. If he didn't have this, well, he would have been stuck 8,000 meters underwater and suffocated. It has limitations, but Gege has already shown us them. And even if we work within these, this teleport is still stupid. He occasionally claps his hands together, or sometimes he doesn't because his hands are in his pocket unless he's putting his hands in his pocket mid-teleportation. And until this chapter, I wasn't convinced it was instant, but now it's pretty sus. Mark my words, this ability is going to go unexplained. Gege, you really should have just never shown him teleporting other people instantly without their knowledge. Teleporting other people at all is just busted, and there is no known counter to this. Not even a Dharma Chakra would counter it in time. And this is us assuming the teleportation warps the individual and not the space around them. Because if he can warp the space around you without touching you, well, you're fucked. Gojo, you were being a real asshole in Shibuya when you didn't teleport to catch Jogo here. And even if he can't teleport you, who cares? He can teleport himself. And after this recent chapter, we know for a fact he doesn't need line of sight. So yeah, Dharma Chakra is probably the most useful thing in this entire series, because it's like the only counter to something like spatial manipulation we've seen so far. This teleport should honestly be used 24/7 given what we've actually seen him do with it already. But I get it, Gege doesn't just want to have Gojo teleporting from place to place 24/7. It would be kind of boring. But if you're gonna do that, don't make him do things like teleport from the bottom of the ocean to get out of an impossible situation, because it just begs the question of why he doesn't do this all the time. And the unfortunate answer is plot. I think people talk about Infinity way too much. Infinity is really good, but Infinity is better as a complementary asset to the other abilities he does have. Because otherwise, just plug a controller into Gojo and have him float above people and shoot Hollow Purples down because he can see for miles. Because why not? Because you can. Because you're Gojo and you have infinite curse energy and you hardly even have to sleep. Just wait for Sukuna to leave on the fish for like 15 minutes and then teleport right in front of Kenjaku like you've already shown you're able to do and kill him this time. Congratulations, Gojo, you have stopped the merger. and Sukuna will just be stuck wondering what the hell happened to his fish. Now, I don't think it's out of character for Gojo to not do these things because he is extremely arrogant, and we're probably going to see his overconfidence come into play more and more near the end of the story. For the longest time, I always said, if you want to kill Gojo Satoru, you just put him underwater and put a barrier around it. And assuming you're able to pull that off, he'll die of asphyxiation eventually, unless RCT is able to prevent brain hypoxia. And apparently Kenjaku, Tengen, and Gege all heard my inner thoughts and put it on paper. And in fact, no, he does not die to the barrier underwater prison. He in fact lives, and even Kenjaku is just like, what the fuck? And like Kenjaku, when I read this, I also said, what the fuck? Because my smooth brain plan didn't even have the 8,000 meter pressure crush. So my plan completely dismantled, absolutely no shot, I die. Gojo lives and I get hollow purpled. As of right now, Gojo and Sukuna are in their own league. I know people are saying, oh, one of them's gonna stomp the other. No, nobody's stomping anybody right now. I'll make a whole video on this eventually, but right now, they're pretty close in physical reinforcement as of this chapter. If one of them was capable of overpowering the other one dramatically here, they would have done so. And it really depends on what Sukuna's hidden technique is going to be, because right now, they do both have hacks. Gojo should have the better reaction times because 6 eyes, he can teleport, he hardly has to sleep, and he can float. But Sukuna has the wheel, and the wheel is way better as a personal object than it was attached to Mahoraga. And people keep talking about Gojo destroying the wheel. I don't know where we even get the idea he can, because this thing has never been shown to take damage. It ate a Malevolent Shrine it may have adapted to, and it definitely ate a Fire Arrow it was not adapted to. And even after Mahoraga is dead, we see Sukuna dragging the Dharma Chakra in pristine condition. So as of right now, it's looking pretty indestructible, but it probably has a weakness that we haven't seen yet. And while it did turn back into shadows after Mahoraga died, I take that as the exorcism ritual being done. Right now, Gojo and Sukuna are not players, they are the game. We're in the Golden Age of Curses, Part 2, but worse. And if you don't think it was worse, well, Sukuna has the wheel this time. And I want to touch on their interaction in Chapter 221, that Gojo and Sukuna may be smack-talking each other. But in this panel, Gojo is very clearly pissed that Megumi is taken over by Sukuna now. And yes, Gojo does make jokes about it, but that's because this is Gojo Satoru. This is what he has always done. Gojo copes with levity all the time to make difficult situations easier. And that's true for a lot of people. And when we finally get back to see Gojo with all of his students, this is when they're going to actually formulate a plan on how to save Megumi. Even though Yuji said, I have many plans to save Fushiguro. No offense, Yuji, but the only plan you have ever actually come up with is, I'm going to beat Sukuna's ass. Believe it. So maybe a group brainstorming session might be a better option. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Sukuna is so evil, he would just shoot your dog. And I have been preaching for months that Gojo will come back and beat an ancient sorcerer to death. And I don't know why, I did not expect it to be Uraume. Because upon Gojo's release, Uraume just ate it. Like, this was a pure trashing, plain and simple. Uraume just ate the rocket fist. With a one-liner attached to it, who are you? And seriously, Uraume, who are you? Who the fuck do you think you are talking to Gojo Satoru that way? You called him swine. In all my years of anime and manga, I have never seen such a bottom feeder like this. Not even Kabuto is like this. Uraume acts like a chimera and royal guard. And all the Uraume Sukuna shippers absolutely shut down. Uraume thought this was going to be another moment where Sukuna's like, no, you did a great job. But my man Sukuna knows Uraume shouldn't have said some things and hops out of the way instead. Is Uraume actually dead from this? I mean, they have RCT, so probably not. But honestly, if this is the end of her, well, that's a pretty good one if you ask me. I mean, dying upon the Gojo release is more than most people can hope for glorious death. And speaking of Gojo's release and his upcoming fight on the 24th, I have no idea how Gojo is ever going to convince Yuji to not come along. If you put Yuji like right in front of Sukuna right now, he would just jump him even if he got kebabbed. I mean, they were probably going to get multiple Sukuna fights because Gojo's going to get his solo fight against Megana. That's pretty set up now. Right now, I don't really see who else could possibly be capable of getting 10 shadows away from Sukuna. Because if Gojo accomplishes anything in this fight, that's what it needs to be, because getting rid of that Dharma Chakra is what has to happen. 10 shadows is like a top 3 technique in the entire series. Honestly, by the end, it might even be number 1. Probably that or Sukuna's technique, because Gojo's Limitless is OP, but it requires 6 eyes to even work, or at least be dramatically useful. Meanwhile, Mahoraga has been basically undefeated for hundreds of years, and then Sukuna just tamed it in the back alley. And Gojo may or may not know what Mahoraga actually does, but Sukuna is the first person to ever have the Dharma Chakra as a personal device. Like, this is unprecedented, nobody has ever done this before. So Gojo, this is your number 1 priority. Even if you die trying, get the 10 shadows away from him because it's just too much. Even if he never used the Shikigami again and just the wheel, it would still be terrifying. And Yuji is just getting stronger now, eating all these cursed objects and being soaked in Sukuna's cursed energy, on top of being Sukuna's #1 ideological opponent and the main character. Something Sukuna just didn't expect from Yuji is going to happen. And if they manage to get Sukuna out of Megumi, well, Megumi might be soaked in Sukuna's cursed energy just like Yuji, maybe to a lesser extent. And he'll have access to Mahoraga because Sukuna pretty much did all the work for 10 Shadows for him. All he has to do is spice up his domain. So the perfect vessel buffed Yuji, and a full Chimera Shadow Garden Mahoraga 10 Shadows Megumi with totality, alongside Maki and her Soul Liberation Blade if she even shows up. Maki's a weird case because she got her endgame buff early. She is really strong right now, stronger than most people give her credit for. Will we actually see Megumi come out and have a fight with the rest of them with Sukuna? Only time will tell. But right now, Gojo, Yuji, Megumi, and Maki are the characters that have all had direct interaction with Sukuna, so they're the ones I find the most likely to be part of his final defeat. But against 10 Shadows, buddy, you're it. A 20 Fingers 10 Shadows Sukuna is probably going to be the strongest character in the series, because it's just an unnatural level of power. Like, nobody's supposed to have 2 techniques like this. Because right now, Sukuna's like the multi-stage boss fight, and we already have foreshadowing that Meguna is having problems with his vessel, so his defeat is probably going to be coming from hacks, not direct combat. And now that he has a binding vow with Kenjaku, well, whenever this binding vow is fulfilled, someone's getting got. Like, I don't see a world where Kenjaku and Sukuna don't try to pull one over on each other, and I think Sukuna might kill Kenjaku, or at least break away from him, because Sukuna is the far more built up and far more popular villain, and Gege is fully aware of this. And really, Kenjaku already pulled something over on Sukuna by creating Yuji in the first place. Gojo is already back, and we have a lot of plot to get through. Something is probably going to go horribly wrong. We're in that point of the story where Gojo can't clean house, which, I mean, we already knew it was going to be that way, but it is rough. The world's in a pretty bad spot when that's the case. But we don't have to downplay Gojo to make Sukuna look stronger. Gojo has seen Sukuna at 15 fingers. He knows what his curse energy's at. It can't get that much higher with the rest of his fingers, or at the very least he should be able to estimate, and he's still unafraid. So Gojo is still most certainly him. And he's going to give Sukuna a run for his money, because that's what he's here for. Gojo isn't the honor jobber. Is he going to be the one to permanently defeat Sukuna? Probably not, just because plot. But he is going to accomplish something that only he can. That being taking on the 10 Shadows monster of a sorcerer that is Uraume and Sukuna. Because at the end of the story, even if Gojo dies, I will not be surprised if he was the only one ever capable of contending with a 10 Shadows Meguna. Because the rest of our characters will probably be fighting him while he's in his original body or something. Because there's really no shame in getting beat by a hack Sukuna, because his original plan on fighting him was not with a fucking wheel, and everyone's about to go on a training arc, so I'm really interested to see how these final fights play out, but Gojo's not getting no dift. And now I want to hear your opinions on if Gojo has still got it. Let me know in the comments below, and if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.